Joe, Oregon wins a thriller against Boise State. I'm going to kick it over to you. A lot of people are panicking on Oregon. I guess I'm just going to kick it over to you very quickly. Your thoughts on Oregon barely a field goal game getting out of there, beating Boise State. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that the panic is justified because when you're a really good team, I think you're always allowed one bad performance against a worse team, which they had against Idaho. You can't play the way that you did. You can't play the way that you did in back-to-back weeks against Boise State. A lot of the same issues and deficiencies showed up in this game, and they're going to continue to show up when they face off with Ohio State in a few weeks. Their offensive line is seriously having issues. They're allowing way too many pressures on Dylan Gabriel. They're not running the ball as effectively as they can, and they're overly reliant on throwing the ball. And more importantly, man, they are giving up way too many huge rushing gains to opponents. They did a little bit against Idaho, but Ashton Jeanty, who's probably the best running back in the country,
was our number 2 back. Me and you, number 2 back. Yeah, our number 3 back.
I think he was my number 2. I don't know if he was on your top 5.
No, he was my number 3. I went back. He was in my top 5.
Okay. I remember a lot of Boise State fans were mad at you for something. I forget what it was, but
because I said he's not elite. Boy, do I look like an idiot.
Yeah. He exposed that defense. There could be some serious problems down the line. I think that this Oregon team is strong, but they're going to lay an egg. I really think that this Oregon team is going to lay an egg. I'm sorry to be the bearer of that news.
All right. I think that there is reasons for concern. Steve, this dude Steve in the chat hates my guts, man. I'm just going to throw that out there. Oh well, Steve, you're still in here watching, and every time you watch, I get paid. So joke's on you. So listen. By the way, I'm not wrong. Went 13-7 last 2 weeks. You can kiss my ass. All right. Here's the thing that I think about with Oregon. I agree with you. I think it is. I'm not going to say it's time to panic because, Joe, what's the word panic mean? Right? Like, I mean, panic is when you lose one of these games. Panic is Notre Dame right now. Sorry, I don't mean to cut. I don't mean it like that.
I mean, that's true. I mean, it is time to panic if you are a Notre Dame fan.
It's time to panic. I'm not there yet. Okay.
Yeah, with Oregon, no.
I agree with you. Here's the thought that I had watching that game last night that I can't get out of my mind. 2 things. Joe, if Boise State had a better quarterback outside of Maddox Madsen, they probably are going to win that football game.
Yes.
Because he went 17-40. He was very inefficient. But then number 2, how bad is Malachi Nelson? Right? Like, I mean.
Well, I mean, we don't need to waste time on that because that has no implications on either of these teams.
But Joe, here's the thing. You almost got beat by a team, and they barely can throw the football.
That's the real talking point.
They're lining up and running it right at you. Now, I mean, you're facing Ohio State in a couple weeks, and they got 2 backs just as capable as Jeanty. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Jeanty as well because Ashton Jeanty, dude, 192 yards and 3 touchdowns. Put the team on his back. I mean, absolutely went off. But that front 7 for Oregon that was supposed to be a strength got pushed around. I mean, Joe, they're stacking the box, and it didn't matter. They're literally – here's the thing that I thought about last night too. Joe, the last long run, go back and watch it. They had 8 dudes in the box. 8, and it didn't matter.
Well, let me add to that, too. You talked about how the front 7 was supposed to be a strength. The offensive line was also supposed to be a strength.
They're banged up on the offensive line, though, too. I can't do that because they're banged up there. Very banged up on the offensive line.
But they were giving up pressures off from their tackles, and their tackles are supposed to be 2 of the best in the country. And I just am underwhelmed when your position groups that are supposed to be an anchor are not, forget about playing well, not carrying your team. That's a problem. Like, that's a problem that we thought that those were supposed to be your biggest strengths, and they're not panning out the way that we thought. I'm not saying that this Oregon team is going to completely crap the bed like Florida State and that they're going to completely fall apart. Not what I'm saying. This is still a really gifted team. But they're not national championship ready. They're just not. They're not there yet. They're a couple years away of getting where they need to be. They are deficient where they need to be dominant, and it's going to catch up to them when they play other of these top teams in the Big Ten. This isn't the Pac-12 anymore.
Well, Joe, if that's the case, we've said this about Notre Dame, we've said this about Oregon. Then who's going to make the playoff?
Well, I mean, some of the teams that we've backed that I feel good about:
Tennessee,
Miami. We know that Georgia is good. We know that Texas is good. We know that Ole Miss looks pretty good until they get tested.
I mean, they're playing Furman.
I don't know. We hyped up Tennessee after they beat the crap out of an FCS
Well, they
opponent.
actually played a FBS opponent.
Well, but I think if what are besides the point. But you're right. It feels. I think that the playoff field is going to be so off from everybody's predictions, and Oregon's proof of that.
You know what, Joe? I'm going to throw this out there about the Big Ten. You have a USC team that's out there that doesn't look that damn bad now, do they?
I think that I forget if Oregon plays USC. I think that they do.
Yeah, they play USC.
I forget what week it is. I might pick USC in that game. I really might, as much as that hurts me.
USC's defense is insane. And I'm going to tell you, man, you better not let Lincoln start getting that running game going like they did last night. Yeah. I mean, look, Joe, here's how I'd frame this. If Boise State's pushing you around, there's going to be a lot of teams in the Big Ten that are going to push you around too. That's how that conference works. They're going to line up and run the ball right at you. And if you can't stop that, you're in trouble. Now, I don't know outside of Ohio State if anybody has a back as good as Genty, but they got better offensive lines than Boise State. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. That's where the real
not good, bud.
Yeah, you're going to be playing a Big Ten schedule that's going to try and run the ball and establish the run. It could be really sobering dropping a game to a random mid-level Big Ten team because they run the ball well.
I know Penn State, was in a dogfight, but Joe, you start getting to a point. These couple of teams in the top of the Big Ten, there's Penn State, who has a very favorable schedule throughout here. Mm-hmm. What do they look like? And I'm going to tell you the truth. Look, what did we talk about in the preview of LSU versus USC? What was the biggest thing that I hated? Everybody shit on Lincoln all offseason, and here's the thing: they took it more personal than anybody. They read the press clippings. They went full Rocky Balboa and Rocky IV. Gerardo! They did. I mean, dude, they are Joe, the simple fact that they lined up yesterday and did whatever they want to and then won against LSU, I don't know if USC's not a contender here that people need to watch out for.
They're saying that Oregon does not play USC. I guess that's weird. Why don't they play USC? Why wouldn't you deliberately schedule the West Coast teams to play each other every year?
Well, Michigan plays USC in a couple of weeks, do they not?
I believe that they do.
And I'm going to tell you, Joe, that's going to be another is that game in Ann Arbor?
I don't think it is. Let me see.
Dude, USC might be back.
They have USC has a bye already, and then week 4, that's in Ann Arbor.
They go to Ann Arbor and win. USC might be back, dude. You give Lincoln 2 weeks to prepare for Michigan?
This video is sponsored by the online fitness training camp presented by Chris Gates Fitness. When I first started talking about Chris, about partnering with our show, not only was I excited to have a fitness sponsor for our pod, but more importantly, when I found out about how he can help people achieve their goals, I was even more bought in, because when the football season starts, it is so tough to stay on top of things and also to be able to enjoy yourself on Saturdays when it's game day. With Chris Gates Fitness's online training camp, you're going to be able to effectively stay focused, consistent, burn fat, build muscle, and do it with a like-minded community of individuals working towards the same thing. On top of this, you're going to be able to get direct coaching from Chris and the ability to ask him questions with an access to a live Q&A where you can get direct personalized support from Chris himself. Don't wait any longer. If you're trying to get in shape during this fall and you want to be able to do it with the right support system, head on over to chrisgatesfitness.com/training camp or click the link in the description. And you need to do it today because you can get the first month. Personal training is expensive, folks. the first month for only $10 when you use that code Ruffino Joe. Don't wait any longer. Head on over there. BetOnline remains your top spot for all of your live betting action and contests. NFL, college football, UFC, NHL are all in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions with both desktop and mobile access at any time. Head to BetOnline today and use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for 50% off your first deposit. That is a 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline, where the game starts.